We are live. Hey guys, good morning. I know I got the little tired face, but welcome, come one, come all. Good morning, guys. It's your girl Ashley Michelle coming to you live from the chat table. Um, yeah, I wanted to just jump into some things. I am a little tired, but I'm here and you know that I am. But I wanted to talk about the truth about censorship in America, not even just necessarily America, but I did want to talk about it. As we all know, um, Donald Trump was banned off of Facebook, Twitter, everything you could possibly think of. And a lot of people were really rejoicing because of this. And I'm really into the blogs and stuff like that. Like I'm, always online doing research, things like that. And there are um YouTube um influencers who are out there, Instagram influencers who are out there, influencers who are out there, and they were silenced prior to any of this happening. Like there's a young man that I follow, Young Pharaoh. Definitely check him out, guys. He's definitely been, doing his thing. I've learned quite a few things from him. I, do my own research, and the other day I think he even mentioned like something that I had like prior knowledge on. So I was like, that's cool. People are talking about some things, but there are definitely a few people out there. But as I was mentioning, like with Young Pharaoh, for example, he had put out a few videos talking about just the government and things like that, and his platform was like shadow banned, and we all know about the YouTube algorithms and the Instagram algorithms, all of that stuff on depending on what you're saying or speaking about. You It's a harder time for you to get yourself out there. We see this with Instagram. If you are not, twerking or doing, every latest TikTok video that's out there or doing this or that, it's harder for you to get yourself out there because of what they're marketing towards us. And this is, just anyone in general. This is not, just about blacks or anything. No, this is just to in general. I am speaking as well, as you always know, to the black community because this is, affecting us and we don't realize that. But many people were rejoicing about him being banned on all these platforms. And there are people that I know who, aren't even famous, and they'll, write, some little stupid thing on Instagram, like, which position is better, anything crazy like that. And I don't mean like wild crazy either. Like, just put up little chat conversations. They got like 5,000 people who follow them, whatever. And those platforms will say, oh, we have to take this down, but you can go to Twitter, go to Facebook, and there are private chat groups that are out there, and you can see all different kinds of pictures and porns, and just it's wild and crazy out there. But those things still happen on those platforms, but you'll ban people who have a little bit of type of following, and they're starting to make money off of it. So and a lot of people are doing that. We all understand that a lot of people are getting into going online, having a podcast, or using the internet as a way to have income. And people are making a lot of money with it, and they're getting huge followers and things like that. And the internet has opened us up into such a way that everyone can, have some type of income or have a celebrity based following, anything like that. Um, so again, many of us, were happy. Hey, he's banned and this and the third, but we all know that it wasn't just him. We see this on in our regular everyday lives where people are being banished because of their, freedom of speech. Um, I had been speaking on Parlor. I had a Parlor, and anyone like y'all all know me on the internet. Like I don't really post and stuff like that. I'll try to talk about my podcast or I'll throw stuff up there with me and my kids. But like I'm not one who's like always on the internet. I don't have a Facebook. Like I don't. No, I'm okay. And um, gosh, what was I saying, guys? It's early morning. My water. Need this. I used to wake up. So again, I had a parlor and I wasn't like when I was on it, I didn't see like a lot of people, you know, inciting violence or, things like that. I learned a few things about, government, some things that America did and, what other people were doing. And I mean, just like following different news sites. And that's something that I still do on Instagram as well. So I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. I probably think it was a little more innocent than going on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, honestly. I didn't see, I think one day I went on on Twitter and the first thing that like popped up was like some like girl like touching her. I'm like, what? How is this even on Twitter? Okay, like, and I remember having a Twitter like years ago. Like, I think I had just said it to my aunt the other day. I was like, oh, I remember having Twitter like when my mom still lived in the city. That was almost like 10 years ago. My mom was like, Twitter was out then. I was like, yeah, I wanted to tell her, like, yeah, I bust one of my ex-boyfriends, like, cheating because he wrote something up on Twitter, like, didn't thinking that, like, I had one. That's so hilarious. I just thought of something. But yeah, I'm like, yo, Twitter's been out for like mad long, but like, a lot of us used to get on it back in the day. Like I remember Skonex, all of that. Like it was popping back then, but we don't have a lot of those platforms now anymore. The ones that were really innocent and all of this. And then we had MySpace, and that brought it to another level where you were able to start putting your music clips on your profile and things like that. And then they started seeing something from that, and then they were like, okay, Facebook, here we go. But again, so we've seen these things play out in like our everyday lives, but then there are things that'll go viral all over the internet and we sit there and watch and we normalize it. Um Example, George Floyd, his killing was played in front of us every day on national TV, on the internet. We've seen countless people's lives taken, and I don't mean just things that have regularly went viral. Like we've seen people go live on Facebook and or go shoot something up, or I think it was I can't even remember, but we've seen things like that. I remember one time I think it had went viral. I wind up seeing the pictures. It was years ago, guys, on Facebook, and it was a young woman. I think she was killed. No, she killed herself. A black young woman who was killed. I think like she couldn't be with her boyfriend. Something I can't remember, but her boyfriend wound up going live like a week or two later, and was talking about killing himself. I I believe that he actually wound up doing it. He took his life, and we see these things on the internet. We specifically see it in the black community. Those things are allowed to go viral and stuff like that all over. We see many videos of black women out there, you know, um, twerking all the time or doing these, I don't know what, the cucumber challenge and all of that stuff. We see those things go viral and we hold no accountability to ourselves. But when, hold on, how many of you know? No, I'm not even going to say that yet. But we're happy that he was silenced on the internet. But things that actually should be silenced on the internet are not. If How many of you guys knew that Louis Farrakhan was banned on Facebook last year? I don't think many people knew. I really don't. They're not how we knew Meg The Stallion was shot by Tory Lanez. We didn't know like that. That's what I mean. But people did know. I remember having the conversation with one of my homeboys in Jersey, and I'm like, yo, I don't really like follow him like that, but like I know, who he is. I've, heard from other people about him, whatever, but I necessarily don't follow him. But he was deplatformed for basically saying, I don't believe you guys should take the vaccine or whatever. That's his personal belief, but that's still his freedom of speech. But it wasn't so much, I believe, what he said. It was he had such a big following. And we believe that these elitists and things like that can't happen, but they do. Look at the news. And you know what? How many people would feel away if Martin Luther King or Malcolm X were living right now and they were silenced on the internet because of their beliefs? How many people would feel away? This is literally what other countries do. And I don't mean, every person out. No, this is what the government does in a lot of these other countries. They, I feel like really saying like specifically like a good, not a handful, but if you could pick a handful of like the countries, it would be, I think, yeah, you guys get it. But there are countries that do that. Silence their people by speaking, by not having internet and things like that. You have to specifically go on to these platforms that they have or this. They give you a few, but you can't have all the other access freedom that Americans get to have. We get to have Facebook and YouTube and all these things. There are countries that have banned that. You can have that. Why? Because you can meet with other people in the world. You can see many different platforms of news sources, of comedy, of romance things like that. You have a broader a broader field of what you get to learn, pick and play from. So they limit it when they talk about these third world countries and stuff like that. That's what I'm talking about. They limit what you can receive and get your information from. America has the pleasure of being able to, and I believe there are other countries out there who do give their people different outlet forms and stuff like that, but I don't think anyone has it like America. And what happens when people start telling you what you can and cannot believe in? Because that is what that goes into play with. 45 spoke about voter fraud. I think I just watched something. I don't know if it was Uganda or something like that. It was another African country, and they were speaking about how the African president, the person who he ran against, like his home was just invaded by the military out there who work for the president who just got into place again, but he's like been president ongoing. But the person who was running against him, was speaking about, hey, like we do have voter fraud and stuff like that. Like this happens. I've listened to it in other countries where they have spoken about, hey, we do have voter fraud that happens. And like it came to America for like the first time. We were just like, oh my God, it can't happen. It can happen. Like we have got to, I started watching a lot of news and reading a lot of news from other countries on American politics. We look like fools to them. I was just watching, and it's not just because of um how do I want to say this? How do I want to term it? We look like fools to them because I want to say the when you go home and you watch TV, the news will have you believe that the American people trust their government. So we believe and listen to everything that they say. Most of us, Black people as well, we don't speak to other people in other countries. So we don't think to say, hey, let me, you know, do some research and, look from their perspective. That is a great learning lesson. A lot of the things that I learned from politics, good and bad, I had to stop just listening to Democrats and got my own point of view and learned how much corruption goes on both sides, hand in hand. And that's not just for Black people, that's just for Americans. You have Spanish Americans, Indian Americans, Americans. You get your card, you're American citizen, you were born here, you're American citizen. That's any and everybody. They play us. And we sit there and we listen to it. What are we going to do when we don't get to have the free liberties of speaking and, reading different forms of information for us? How would we all feel if, what, I was gonna say that. I was gonna say it, but I think I might not. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. Um, I'm a little off this, not a little off this morning, guys, but this morning I was just, reading and following up on some notes and stuff that I had. And I was like, I want to get on here and talk, but I know I had some homework and things to catch up, but it was, excuse me, but, on my mind enough where I was like, let me, just come and do a video. I'll probably, touch this up, edit it, things like that. Um, who knows? I might not even really release this one and just record a whole nother one when I feel like I've got everything, all in front of me. Like I'm here with just my phone and my little water. But I definitely wanted to come on here and speak about that. What happens when our kids only have to watch Nickelodeon or Disney? Most of us gonna be like, what? No more like PBS for the kids, no Cartoon Network, like we don't get different choices. What happens when, the government says, we all have to eat a certain way? I can't choose what I want anymore. I think that there needs to be, necessary crackdowns on it. But by silencing people and removing them from it because they don't fall into the criteria of what you want them to believe, that is absolutely wrong. And I did speak of, Louis Farrakhan being banned. I don't follow that man. I know about him, but he shouldn't have been deplatformed because he called white people termites. My aunt just told me the other day that she was having a conversation on YouTube on, I don't know if it was one of the news channel pages that was going live, or where you can just hop in on Facebook and go live and whatever. But she was in a conversation, and white woman, I'm assuming it was a white woman because she had a white woman's page up, picture and stuff up, and she called my aunt in the chat like a stupid black bitch or something like that. And my aunt said back to her, and you're a dumbass white bitch. Facebook allowed the white woman's comment to be up there. My aunt's comment was blocked. She said she got rid of her Facebook. She couldn't even post it up there. Now, I remember one time I was on YouTube and I was probably on Lovely T's page. She's phenomenal. Check her out. Lovely T 202. But Lovely T, type her in. She'll definitely pop up. I remember one time I was on her page, and this was a minute ago. This was like last year. And she was talking about C19. And I wrote something up on there. Like, hey, T, do you think no, this wasn't even last year. This was just recently because she actually even read my super chat and I had to send it like 2 times. But yes, I'm hyped. Lovely T definitely read my super chat on live. So I was lit. Like that made my night. But I wrote a comment. She was talking about C19. Yeah, this was literally just like 2 weeks ago. If it was even a whole 2 weeks. But prior to that, I have had times where I've tried to write a comment up there and YouTube would not put it up there. I've never incited hate, spoke up, called people like, derogatory racist names or, anything. Like I don't do that. And she, recently, when I just wrote the comment, she was talking about C19 and people were like, hey, Lovely T, thank you for informing me. She's reading the super chat, stuff like that. So I sent like a little $10 super chat and I'm like, hey, T, thanks for informing me about C19. I was really well prepared like all year. But do you think this is leading to a revolution? YouTube did not allow me to write revolution. I had to write something else. Like, do you think we need to prepare and stock up? That's what I had to wind up writing to her. And she was like, yes. And I'm like, oh, snap, Lovely. She said, hey, this is from such and such on super chat. Thank you for the super chat, blah, blah, blah. She read the question out loud. And I'm like, oh my God, mad hype. Oh, she read my super chat. But I had to send it like 2 or 3 times because I wrote the word revolution. Like other people can curse you out and solicit sex and we even listen to music. Well, I don't listen to the new music. Anybody who walk past my house and they do hear me playing music, like I listen to like older music. I started not like older, but I listen to more classic R&B. You don't really hear rap in my house unless my kids get their Kids Bop playlist that's on my phone and they can play their stuff through the Bluetooth, whatever. That's really about it. But all these other new up and coming artists and stuff like that, where they're talking about this and that and drugs and ass and this, like all of this type of stuff, that gets shared everywhere. WAP was number 1. That song was, but that's the song you're supposed to be with your man or your boo or whoever with. That's a song like that. That's my honest opinion. We gotta have fun to that. That's not what you play on the radio, the clean version or not, and there's no way it can be clean. There was a time when we used to have, uncut after 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, because where your kids should be, at home, in bed, sleeping. I remember back in the day at 10 o'clock, on like UPN 9 News and stuff like that, that at 10 o'clock, it would say, where are your children? Yeah, where are your kids? Make sure your kids they should be in bed at that time. The news is coming on. They got to get up and go to school the next morning, guys. We don't have those no more. There's shit that comes on cable television, daytime television, and it's like, damn, they don't show this on like HBO. I mean, even if it's on regular, the 1 through like 21 channels or whatever, like, for basic shit. This don't come on at a certain time no more. My kids and I don't even watch regular TV. We use Tubi all the time. I even got off of Netflix because I felt like, to me in my household, Netflix didn't cater too much to the education standpoint with my kids, and anything that they watch as young boys is always fighting, some karate type of stuff. Like, it's never educational. Like, boys and girls grew up in my day and age, watching, we watched the Rugrats, and we watched the Jimmy Neutrons and Dexter's Laboratory, the Powerpuff Girls. Like, we watched those kinds of things. Many of us grew up off of Sesame Street. And I'm like, damn, like, they have these things, but that's not what's advertised out there for the kids. So it is as harder as parents, not within my house at times, but it is harder for even us as parents when these are our main only options. So how would we feel if these were our only choices? That's a problem. We need to have all these different choices. So we can't sit here and say this person can't be on the internet speaking about, this is that and the third, because we don't believe in it. Again, if Malcolm X, if MLK was alive, how would we feel? And that's a question of Black and white people, because a lot of people respect it. Sorry, guys. A lot of people do. They respect it and understand. They got really far, and then, unfortunately, their demise came, with unfortunate events, and we respect it and we understand. Y'all came from something, and y'all want to be able to tell your story, and there are a lot of people who do understand that, guys. Many white people would have a problem as well if they were censored on the news right now. If they were censored, if Malcolm X or if MLK was censored on the internet right now. We have to understand how that plays out into our lives. When they're going to start taking away our freedoms of speech. There's YouTubers now I see who don't get the play that they deserve. Tasha K, she broke the story, broke the internet on Wendy Williams. We knew little gossips, but as far as having the insides and talking about the baby on the way and all of that, Tasha K broke that. TMZ and E! News and all of that, they're the winners in that story. They was getting the information from her. She had people on speed dial at the hospital. Hey, what the baby look like? She got pictures. She don't get her spot that she's supposed to get. Joe Budden talked about it with Spotify and things like that. He spoke about it. Joe Budden's podcast is phenomenal. He's doing his thing on that. Whether you agree or disagree with some of his viewpoints, he's doing his thing on that as a Black man. And you gonna tell me he asked for what, a 6-figure or 7-figure check, and he don't deserve that? What happened? He's still doing his thing, but they brutalized his character, took him down off of certain platforms. Unfortunately. Why? Because he spoke the truth about some of the things. And I'm not saying that 45 is speaking the truth about it, but understand the logic of it. Too many of us are in this cancel culture movement, and we're not understanding what we're doing. The government's like, yeah, hell yeah, we're gonna cancel this person because, they said something like this, or they cancel Nick Cannon. When we as Black people, and as a lot of Americans do understand how Black people are depicted and received and all of that. And he spoke about that. I just wanted to come on here, talk about this. I try not to really be on here like too long and drag it with you guys. Still getting to know my audience. If you guys are okay with the timing, I definitely try to do it for like less than like 40 minutes. I haven't hit the hour mark yet, but we'll be doing that soon. We definitely will. Yeah, guys. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that. We have to. I said it a while ago that Black people, or even just the American people, have to. We've been so blessed with these gifts that have been brought to us, these devices, and all of these things. And there are certain people who are going to continue making money off of that. And we have to come together. There's something I was going to say, but sometimes when you have it in your head and you know that if you'll say it, it'll go completely into a whole nother topic. I'm not ready to bring it yet for this conversation. Um, but we have to get it together and really understand the censorship that's going on, even with C-19. Many of us saw videos of Africans being thrown out of China and being treated horribly. Many of us saw through the internet, we learned about the End SARS movement. Many of us learned about George Floyd's killing, Breonna Taylor's killing through the internet. And there were many stories all over. And a lot of us were able to get our information and understand, hey, y'all wasn't telling the truth with this whole story. You wasn't really telling the truth with this whole story. Most people are able to read in that shade of gray, not just black and white. Most people are able to read in the shade of gray. We got to get everybody else to do that as well. I hope that was a great analogy. I'm trying, yeah. So yeah, again, like I said, we just have to understand the bigger movement. If we all couldn't find different outsources of information to understand what truly happened, like if we all watched just I don't even know what news channel, we would think that everyone who was out there at the Capitol was just a Trump supporter. No, there were people who weren't Trump supporters who were going out there to infiltrate other things. And I'm not just talking about Antifa, things like that. No, but it was brought out there that they were. But there were many people who are in the technology industry and things like that who were also fighting for Section 230, I believe it is. A lot of us don't really know what that is, but there are people like myself who do understand. That makes sense as to why a lot of these tech giants and these politicians were out there fighting. It was many reasons as to why the people were. There were a lot of people who were out there fighting for abortion rights. Just that alone. We wouldn't have found out all that information if we didn't go to different outlets. Now, if we just start silencing people because we don't like what they have to say, that's a problem. I spoke about it yesterday. Even within the Black community, especially, we have to know that it's okay to disagree, or it's okay to listen to others. Even if you still don't disagree, you can learn some things. I have some studying to do, guys. And yeah, I wanted to just come on here and talk about that, touch up on it, and see what you guys feel. You can definitely jump in the comments and say something, say hello. And I hope you guys are safe and have a great day. It's your girl, Ashley Rochelle from the chat table, guys, and we are out. I hate when people do it sometimes and you're like, no, just do it that way. I think it looks better. I don't like when people do it like that. It looks funny, but that definitely looks so much better, guys. See you later, guys. Enjoy your evening. Well, enjoy your afternoon and then your evening and your night.